only know this because I worked at Nintendo for 2 years, and 1 year they gave us a bonus, and I was like, I didn't think we did that well this year. Everyone was worried about losing their jobs, and they're like, oh yeah, the yen went down. And I was like, but we're a Japanese company. This all just seems like the wrong thing to be saying right now. I was like, no, you don't understand economics. I was like, you know what? I don't, but now I do.
Gamified 171. This is the show where the biggest gaming stories stop being headlines and start becoming fights. Let's meet today's panel. First up, entering the arena from Battle Trade, he's a man who understands that every game has a market, every market has a meta, and every meta eventually gets nerfed. It's Mr. Dub.
Oh, dude, I love me some good metas, dude. Especially these deck metas lately. Glad to be here, dude.
He's ripping packs 5 minutes before the show.
It's true.
Up next, he is the architect of interstellar battlefields called Parallel, a builder of innovative AI gaming products and an architect of business strategy, a commander of the card table. This is someone who helped build the #1 NFT trading card game of all time, and he sees the meta before the rest of us finish reading the flavor text. It is Koji Nagata.
What's up, Sam? I saw you talking shit about TCGs on X. I've never wanted to play the STFU on the host so badly.
That wasn't talking shit about TCGs. That was talking shit about gaming creators that have magically become TCG creators in the past 90 days as we've hit all-time highs in that market.
Haters gonna hate, Sam.
But I too love a good TCG, so don't judge me. You know, it's okay. It's okay. Up next, from the new age to the old guard of entertainment itself, former Disney and NBC Universal executive. He's seen the machine from the inside, the franchises, the studios, the executives, the billion-dollar bets, and the couple of moments where they said liquidate everything. It is the irreplaceable Chris Heatherly.
Hello.
What's up, brother? And next up, gaming insights, strategy leader, discovery detective, professional interrogator of the question nobody in the pitch meeting wanted to answer. He studies what gets attention and what quietly disappears beneath the algorithm. It is the deity of data, our very own Colin Neese.
Yeah, and what's up? And I've been moonlighting in like traditional media. I had to go defend Chris on his take on CNN. I can't believe I said those words, but there they are.
An amazing moment indeed. And he's bringing the thunder from Roblox's universe, founder of GameFam, now an investor and advisor to early stage Roblox hitmakers. He's building the future of childhoods by investing into early stage Roblox games. And I can't wait to get his perspective on the dramatic price drop of Roblox stock this week. It is the futuristic founder, Joe Ferenc.
Hello, and thank you for having me.
Tony's going to be joining us in just a minute. Looking forward to that. But we're going to jump in to topic number one. Let the debates begin. Roblox just had the kind of quarter that makes headline numbers look great, and the stock chart looked like a crime scene. Excuse me. Revenue was up about 36% to $1.5 billion. Free cash flow up 66% to $294 million. Roblox, though, with 123 million daily active users and 29 billion hours engaged, got absolutely nuked. The bookings only grew 8%. Roblox guided Q3 bookings down 14% to 18% year over year. Guided free cash flow as low as negative $60 million and stopped giving full year guidance. The stock fell 26.9% in one day, the single biggest decline in a single day for the stock ever. Management says this is part of the plan. The recommendation algorithm is prioritizing long-term retention over near-term monetization, and players are moving away from highly monetizing viral games and towards evergreen experiences, which does sound a little bit healthier, but also it could just be verbal publicly traded stock jujitsu. That might be smart platform building, but it also might be the most sophisticated way anyone's ever said the users are here, but the money is not. I'm asking my sentiment score of the panel, 0 being I think this is going to 0, 10 meaning I think this is going to go way, way, way up. Chris Heatherly, curious to get your point of view first, if you're willing to jump in on it. What's your sentiment score on Roblox?
7.
I'm giving it a 6.2.
I mean, my score is like a 1. I'm taking a bath, but my score for the company is more like a 6. So I'm sad.
7.
I mean, it's like a 5. It's kind of like if a meme coin was about to be CTO'd at this point. That's the best. That's the best it's looking.
It's tough, man. Chris Heatherly, going back to you. What's your take? Why'd you give us a 7?
I'm always bullish on Roblox long term. I think that their technical architecture is just superior to the way that most games are delivered. They're I've said it a million times, but the ability to deliver games over the wire without a huge download is, and without and in app on mobile without a separate download is huge. I'm very long on what they're doing with AI. I think AI is going to be a boon for the platform. I'm very long on what they're doing with graphics and, up-resing stuff. I think we have yet to see, bigger games. I mean, Joe's brought this up before, but in the past, a lot of the games have been these meme games and gotcha collector games. That's really what blew up. And they're starting to develop. You can kind of see that the ecosystem is starting to develop some bigger, deeper games. I think that'll only continue. You'll have more, better graphics. So I'm long on the platform, but they had some headwinds, right? One is they're a victim of their own success last year, and the huge hits that they had last year. It was also a quieter game environment than this year is going to be, especially in the fall with GTA. And then they've been hit pretty hard by these ID requirements and some of the FUD around online safety. So, when you look at, I just saw a chart that looked at their DAU, and their DAU and MAU are kind of back to where they were before the big spike last year. So if they kind of reset at this level and grow from here, I think it's bullish. I think it gets worrisome if D continues to decline as a result of these ID laws.
Poji, I'm sending it to you next. You've grown many products at this point. You're in the process of growing many products. This seems like they're at a growth at all cost stage still, and people are begging them to be at a please make revenue stage. What do you make of this and your 6.2 that you gave them?
Yeah, I mean, the reason I'm giving them that, I think that to Chris's point, right? Like since the last quarter, the DAU and MAU are up. And so the funnel is still working. I think the reason why the sentiment score is low is because at a point the market priced in the things that Chris mentioned, like Grow a Garden and Brain Rot and 99 Nights in the Forest or whatever that other game was called. And it seems like in order for for our Western brains to really root for a stock, which is just grow at all costs, grow, it means that they have to constantly be having viral hits and be in the forefront of consciousness. And I just no game, no matter how successful it is, can live that way. I mean, no franchise, no matter how successful it is, can even live that way. We were talking about Marvel off mic before we even got here. And there was a point where, they could release a movie where Captain Marvel farts into the wind and it makes $1 billion, right? And now people are just like, I don't even know about this new Spider-Man. Obviously, the new Spider-Man's almost made $1 billion. But for the most part, most of their other movies that have come out recently and their TV shows haven't done that well. And it's just because there's fatigue, right? And so I think that they're suffering from some of their success, right? We saw huge numbers. It got priced because of those viral games. It got priced into the stock, and now people are like, "Well, why aren't they just viral forever?" And nothing works that way. And so I think that it's unfair to expect that of them. But because that's the expectation we've put on them, I give it a 6.2. But I think that the company, the game, it'll all be fine in the long run.
In the long run, Colin, going to you next. What's your opinion? You gave us a 1 or a 6. I think a 1 is an investment for you so far.
Yeah.
From here,
well, 1 is an investment for me because I thought when they originally dipped in the earlier in the spring or whatever that was, a bunch of gaming stocks took a bath because of AI. I was like, I'm in, and I bought into Roblox among us a few other ones. All of them were up except for that guy. So that one I'm taking a bath on, like a 50% plus bath. So that personally, I'm just bummed, but whatever. Win some, lose some. As Roblox is a company, I think their biggest challenge is still the same one I've always felt, which is they got a kid problem. Remains to be seen if the kids are going to graduate to being young adults and still really engage in that platform. I won't, until I see actual data that's not self-reported, age verification stuff. I just don't believe it. And why does that matter for Roblox? Because they make a lot. Part of their revenues are for advertisers, and as I know Joe knows, is advertisers want to reach 18 to 34-year-olds. That's just the math. And if you don't have a substantial amount of your audience in the age range of 18 to 34, this mythical unicorn that just gloms onto Target and other brands at that period of life, then they don't want you, and that just makes it hard if you're an ad business. But what makes me more bullish and why I'm a little bit more optimistic is 1, it's incredibly hard to build a platform in games. They are one of 3 or 4 maybe of sustained platforms, so they have that advantage. And all the kind of stuff that Chris called out is absolutely true. And if you remove last summer's blip, I'm just looking at my data right now. They're still on an upward trajectory overall. Like they're still climbing up. They just had a massive viral summer, came down, much like 2021 was a massive viral moment for them, and they came down, and then they just grew back at a normal, like healthy pace. So what makes me optimistic is they reset, and now they're just kind of hopefully making changes that are going to be more healthy, both from my personal stock perspective, but also for them. Like grow naturally over a period of time, and then try to get them adults, man. They just got to keep making stuff to get them adults.
Dub, do you think it's realistic that we ask a company with 130 some odd users or million users to keep growing and also find a way to monetize those users?
That's hard, dude. I mean, corporations that large are just like hard to pivot and change. I mean, I think it's even more true for the gaming market. So for them to be able to adjust quickly, I don't know, man. It feels like they're on a fence right now, and I'd hate to be there and to be on their like leadership team and try to be still running this thing as like the price is essentially just nonstop falling to zero. I've seen just large corps kind of crumble on this pressure before, and I just feel like no matter who you are and what sector you are, when you're in this corporate situation, it's kind of doomed for failure.
Joe, the one we've all been waiting for, the man with 30 billion visits on Roblox. You gave this one a 7. Curious in your point of view, a sentiment score for Roblox from this point forward.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack here for me, but let's start with the stock price issue, because the stock price issue, maybe Roblox shouldn't be a publicly traded company now or ever. Maybe. I mean, I ran a startup, and in that startup, we were expected to drive consecutive quarterly growth forever, and we did for a long time. But of course, it's impossible. You can't keep growing every quarter over quarter, even quarter over quarter, year over year, forever. But the stock market demands that in some ways, and I think bigger companies that have less hit-driven businesses. If you look at a company like Apple, they can really manage growth in a lot more predictable ways. They sell products, they sell services, they can tune up and down marketing, they can change pricing, they can launch new product lines. Roblox is a platform currently for meme games. That is what Roblox is. That is the beating heart of the platform. And so they're a bit of a victim of their own viral success from last year. If you look at the bigger picture, the company is healthy. The cash flow and cash on hand is substantial. And for the year, they will be, I believe by all measures, they will be very cash flow positive, even carrying a really humongous team. So that's the stock price aspect of it, which I think is a bit of a red herring in the long run, because it's never been reactive to the right things. Last year, they had an amazing Q2 because of Grow a Garden, Steal a Brain Rot. They had an even better Q3, and the stock price started going down then. Why? I don't know. But here's the bigger question is the platform stable and healthy? Yes, the platform has 123 million daily active users. This is the most popular gaming platform in the world, I'm pretty sure. So that's good. The platform is cash flow positive. That's good. How do they get back on a long-term growth curve? Because what's going to be even worse than the Q2 year over year measurement is Q3. Q3 is going to be absolutely atrocious for them. That was when they hit their peak, Q3 and Q4 of 2025. They had 150 million DAUs in Q3 2025, 144 million in Q4 2025. I think they're going to be flat to down in Q3 because summer's always the best time of the year for DAU. So I think that they're going to have a lot of further challenges on the share price side. But on the platform side, they need to figure out what they want this platform to be. Is it a meme game platform? Then they need to reward meme game creators. Right now, they've changed the algorithm to punish meme game creators, hoping that people will make bigger, more thoughtful games. But that's not what the audience wants currently. Yeah. So it's a bit of a mystery wrapped in an enigma, or an enigma map wrapped in a mystery in terms of where this platform's at. It's lost its way right now.
Joe, if I could double click just quickly, what are you advising the games that you're still investing in and working with to do, given that there's that conflict between what the platform currently is and what they want to be?
For an individual game, so here's the big punchline is that Roblox remains by far the best place in the gaming business and arguably the best place in the business world to become an overnight millionaire.
Yeah.
And that hasn't changed. Nothing about that has changed. Maybe you can't become an overnight centimillionaire with a meme game the way you could 12 months ago, but you can become an overnight multimillionaire still with a very simplistic meme game made in a matter of days. So for me, as an individual person looking to achieve successful outcomes for myself, the people I invest in, the people I advise, on the ground day to day, nothing's changed because we're not publicly traded companies. We don't have to grow. We just need to make income that we find meaningful and satisfying.
Yeah, great answer. Chris, let's circle back to you. Has Joe or Dub changed your mind at all?
No, I mean, I would always defer to Joe on this because he knows the platform better. But the thing that I would just add to it is, what he was saying is right, which is that they don't need. I think this obsession with profitability is really misguided because they don't need to be profitable. They just need to be cash flow positive, right? And they should be investing back into growth. I think that's the first thing. I don't think that Dave tells their story particularly well, and I wonder whether their CFO, who should be helping with him with that, is telling it well either. To the point about can they keep growing from 100 and whatever million, 130 million, DAU. I mean, Asha is talking about Microsoft's goal being 1 billion users. I mean, if you look at scaled platforms on the internet. Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, these kind of things, doing in the hundreds of millions to 1 billion users it's not crazy. It's been done multiple times. And, Roblox, I think, should have that kind of ambition. So I think that, I think honestly, the thing that's the biggest inhibitor is the rev shares are just not fantastic. And, if the rev shares were more favorable to creators, I think they would get more interesting content and it would drive the flywheel harder. But there's a bit of a problem because the people that they want to attract are not going to want to make the kind of cut that they're going to get on Roblox.
Well, I think that to add to that is that the rev share is emotionally distressing when you hear about it coming from other platforms. We're in a world where Tim Sweeney is campaigning for the last 5 years to tear down the 30% wall from the App Store, and Roblox has got a 70%-ish wall of, it's the opposite. Wow. Now, they have a lot of good reasons, and the biggest reason is that the unit economics of developing on Roblox actually are still the best in the video game business. That's just math. Like, one person can make a Roblox game in 1 week and become a millionaire within 2 weeks. That's not really the case on any other platform. That is not really the case in the App Store. That doesn't happen every day in the App Store from what I know, but it happens every day on Roblox. So the unit economics are awesome. It's upsetting when you hear the rev share and it makes people gag. It feels unfair and they don't want to deal with it. But the bigger problem is for smaller games that don't have enough volume to make those economics work. It's disincentivizing professional teams of maybe 3 or 4 people who each want to generate, let's just say something like a first world attractive salary of $150,000.
That's my point. That's my point.
Right? They can't develop there. The rev share will not support those teams. If the rev share flipped, all of a sudden it would. But the company would be bleeding cash.
Don't they have a hat on a hat problem? They're a platform and a platform, so they're dealing with the Apple tax like everyone else. So they're a hat on a hat, basically, and that's a challenge that they can't just get out of because the majority of their users are basically on mobile, right? As much as they
80% of their users are on mobile, from my recollection, but actually a disproportionate share, therefore, of their revenue comes from PC. users who happen to be more valuable users and spend at a much higher rate in general than the mobile users. Anyway, for all the reasons everyone here on this podcast obviously understands.
Right.
So those are some of the challenges in terms of getting more sophisticated content on the platform.
Yeah.
Joe, can you explain to me how both of these things can be true, that they can be losing this much money while also taking 70% of the rev share? Like it seems like they should be maximizing revenue right now if that is that aggressive, and then over time if they have to bring it down. Like how do you ever give people a better rev share if you're not even making money with that aggressive of a cut that you're taking?
They are making money. They are cash flow positive. They are GAAP negative. They are GAAP unprofitable due to stock-based compensation and the way that stock-based compensation is accounted for from accounting perspective. Way over my head, guys. Don't know that much about it. That's all I can tell you. But they also they pay for all the servers, okay? And they pay for all the servers for all the players from India and from Indonesia and from Thailand and from Vietnam, who are all great players, and I'm very happy to have them in our games that I work on, but they're not great spenders, and Roblox has to pay for them to play because I'm not paying as a developer. This is one of the reasons Roblox has a right to a higher rev share than the App Store or than the PlayStation Store, because they do provide the servers, they do provide the multiplayer networking inherent within the engine that steps right up. So that's why. And then I can't speak to their R&D budgets, right? Roblox is a big company. Dave has built an empire. My understanding, kind of listening to Dave, is that he wants to be a titan of tech. He wants to be one of the big guys. He wants to be up there with Zuck and Jeff and Elon. Well, you got to have a big team and a lot of smart people at the company. And they pay top of the market at Roblox. So those are some of the challenges in terms of maximizing profitability, both from an accounting and cash perspective.
Koji, I'm going back to you.
Isn't that kind of fucked up though? Okay, so we're talking about all this stuff, and we're looking at the stock chart here in a little graphic, and it's just down. We're talking about a company that is, like you said, cash flow positive. The numbers are basically at their suggested earnings, et cetera, et cetera. Like things are not going poorly for them at all. And still the chart looks the way the chart looks. And then, bigger brains than mine are looking at gaming charts like this and being like, well, gaming's in the toilet or whatever. And it's only because we're constantly like, it's got to be more. Like, I feel like I'm going crazy here. And I know that I rant about this all the time, almost on every show now, but like, isn't there a better way to look at this stuff? Like, we are judging these companies by this chart because, I guess this is like what the financial interest externally from this company, but by all accounts, it's like very successful. Like, what the fuck are we doing here? I also, on a side note, I love that that Chris is wearing a punk shirt because the guy that's arguing with people on LinkedIn is the punk of the show. This is great, man.
Wow, Chris is taking strays.
Let me, so look, I just pulled up operating cash flow from Gemini. So forgive me if these numbers are inaccurate in some way, but from Q4 2025 operating cash flow of 600 million, Q1 2026 operating cash flow of 629 million, Q2 2026 318 million in operating cash flow. The stock market is, you feel like you're going crazy, Koji, because the stock market is a place that left the realm of logic years ago, where a company like SpaceX is valued at an almost infinite multiple of earnings, and a company like Roblox can't be, is valued at a fraction of that, even though it's incredibly cash flow positive on its revenue base and has a fundamental, solid growth model that it's operating on, versus SpaceX, which is going to eventually take us on lunar rides to Mars to mine Martian minerals or something like that. So it is crazy. And I think that the stock market is not the right way to measure how Roblox is really doing and what the future of Roblox is, because the stock market pays attention to things that aren't necessarily real metrics.
Chris, tagging you back in.
Yeah, let me try to explain this complicated accounting issue because it's very misunderstood. So, according to Gemini, 90% of the purchases in Roblox are considered durables, meaning that and those are clothing, accessories, pets, things that you buy and you keep, as opposed to consumables. Consumables, when you buy a consumable, they recognize the revenue right away, meaning that if you spend $1 on it, they recognize it as $1 in this quarter earned. If you buy a durable, it's amortized over 27 months. So the reason that they look cash flow, or the reason they look GAAP negative, is because they get all the revenue today for those durables, but then it sits on the books over 27 months. So there's a lot of revenue that they've already booked as a company that hasn't flown through on the P&L as profit yet. And maybe that helps them smooth the curve over the next, because the revenue from last year that they realized during the, Grow a Garden and Steal a Brain Rot and all that is still being materialized in their books, right? But it creates this illusion because you see the DAU spike, you hear them talking about revenue spikes, but then you see this negativity on the P&L because they take all the costs for the servers and the staff and all that stuff now, but they're not realizing that revenue as profit yet.
There you go. Game accounting in a nutshell. That is an interesting one. Thanks for that, Chris. We're going to move on. Topic number 2, sports betting is infecting everything. Prediction markets, obviously being a smaller symptom of this. The Supplied Sensor Tower notes tracked 13 World Cup themed live ops events across 7 non-football genres. 8 of them used match prediction or pick to win mechanics. That means a sport event is not just a sport event anymore because it's becoming a content wrapper for PUBG Mobile, Archero, Dark War Survival, Last Z, Solitaire, Cash, and whatever else wants a reason to pigeonhole World Cup into their game. The defense is obvious. It's a fun event. No real money is changing hands. Players like making predictions. The concern is also obvious. If a player can buy more attempts, chase uncertainty, essentially gamble or predict inside of these games, there's an issue there. But there's also what the fuck is prediction markets doing inside of video games, and why are we making soccer literally ubiquitous across every single gaming mobile app at the same time? My question for the panel, what's the word for these integrations? Tony, welcome to the show. I'm going to kick off with your word first.
Predatory.
Liquidity.
Sad.
Dystopian.
I know this is more than one word, but business as usual.
Unsurprising.
Tony, I want to go back to you on this one. Give me an elaboration on predatory here.
Yeah, I mean, I think this just takes all the worst parts of gaming and shoves them all together. I think that we have, I'm going to get real hippie. I'm living Seattle here, but I think that we have gamified too many things, and we are hitting the pendulum, just like when in the United States the pendulum swung very far these last 10 years. I think with betting and gambling, we're going to see that same kind of arc where it's crime season. There's no rules for anything right now, effectively. And I think that the pendulum is going to swing back violently, and that like most things, the people who make enough money to pay the fines will be fine, and there will be some sacrificial lambs that get just lambasted and get press-worthy punishment for what's happening and what they're doing. But I think by and large, this is just another expression of, certainly real gambling, but loot boxes and, all of the things that people were worried about with loot boxes. We're going to get these kids addicted to gambling, and we're going to they're not going to know how to control themselves. And now the argument for that was always like, well, it's a game. And so they have to do a bunch of stuff to go express this addiction that we're giving them out of the game. But now that's just not true, right? There's no such thing as age gating on the internet, right? Let's be real. That's just not a thing. So if Hazel, my 10-year-old, wants to go bet on whether or not Joe Biden's going to die on Friday, She can do that, right? Like that's a thing that Hazel can go do right now.
But
And
it asks her if
that's
she's
fucked
18, Tony. Everybody knows.
yeah,
you
it does. It
can't lie.
asks her if she's 18, 100%. And so I think it's predatory as shit. And I just don't think I want to live in a world where it can't be possible that we continue on this trajectory for another 5 years. But I don't know if I live in that world, but I want to live in that world.
Chris, you worked on a lot of different collaborations, I'm sure, with all the Disney IPs that you got to handle. I'm curious what your perspective is, on integrating these sort of Gamba mechanics that we're talking about into those, but also at what point is it just like enough is enough with everybody saying we need a World Cup event? Like every single fucking company was like, soccer jerseys and like, did we not all get extremely tired of that by like a week into the festivities?
I mean, who's we? I mean, if people participated in it, then they didn't get tired of it, right? I mean, I don't see the point in moral judgments. Like, I feel like, people are going to decide, the audience is going to decide when it's too much for them and when they want less of it. I do think that it will start to influence things like, like people are already saying, oh, it's ruining sports, right? And it creates a lot of opportunity for people who are on teams to rig the outcome. I remember when I was a kid, there was a massive scandal over, Pete Rose gambling on, beating the other team, and he was banned from baseball or whatever and wasn't in the Hall of Fame. Now, that's right. Now, that happens every week. So I think there will probably, be some laws and things that take some of the edge off here, but I definitely don't think we should be pushing gambling mechanics on kids. But I think for consenting adults, I mean, they can do whatever they want with their own money.
Where's the line in a gambling mechanic? I guess like I can send this one to Koji, but like in Diablo 2, there's a shop owner that you can go to. I mean, all the Diablo games really, and you could just buy a thing. Then you don't know the attributes of the thing until you buy it, and then it's in your inventory. And and if they're not asking for money for these predictions, is that gambling or is that just a fun little mini game? What do you think, Coach?
Dude, it's been in games forever, right? Like any classic RPG head knows that there's a point in which you hit some sort of casino level in which you are standing in front of a slot machine, randomly throwing in your silver coins or whatever to try and get more silver coins. Or, in FF7, you can chocobo race or you can do whatever. Also, hold on, before I go on, I know I'm throwing a lot of strays at Chris here, but I'm just as guilty. I'm the guy wearing a heavy metal t-shirt and a Sunday Red hat. So, inside me is two wolves. But
I love heavy metal, by the way.
Yeah.
Two wolves.
But honestly, man, this is like we did it to ourselves. We live in a world where I can go to the grocery store and there are like Minions stickers on bananas or like Ditto stickers on mirrors or whatever. It's just like a soda Fallout branding on soda. It is just a thing that exists. And to your question about the World Cup, it's just like the biggest sporting event in the world by far. So everyone's trying to take advantage of it. And like, I mean, you guys are Americans. There should be no stranger to like nationalistic behavior. My team is better than your team. It just so happens that these represent countries, and so they want to capitalize on that nationalistic behavior. Like I look at some of this less as predictive markets and more of like, here's where the attention is. How can I steal some of that attention, right? And then just playing on people's like, oh, these guys can kick a ball faster than these other guys or whatever. And so, like, Argentina is clearly better than Spain or whatever the fuck it is. Like, it's just kind of silly, But I will say that, like, how do we draw the line here? It's kind of crazy that we've gone this far and then we're like, no, this is it. Now we need to protect the kids. We should definitely let them have sex with people in video games and brutally murder people. For sure, that should be allowed. But if they're allowed to guess as to which magical team is going to beat some other magical, like, no, that's now we've gone too far.
Well, I think that's the difference being that this is in Archero and you're talking about like Grand Theft Auto 5, which I assume, there's a slightly different demographic between those games. But, back to the moralistic judgment, my point is not like, oh, soccer's bad. I don't like soccer. It shouldn't be in my video games. It's more like the punk rock argument. If everybody's zigging, there should be like a counterculture that's like, you know what? We're not going to put soccer in a game that's completely unrelated to soccer just because it's the topic of the du jour. It's like, we're going to do a thing that triples down on the fact that you actually want to escape the zeitgeist and like lose yourself in a video game. And wouldn't that
real quick
maybe
on
serve
that,
the audience better? Yeah,
I know Chris and a couple other people on this panel are going to remember in the 90s when the word sellout was a big deal and it was like a huge no-no. If your band was featured in a commercial, God help you, it was over for you. Like no one was buying your shit and you were like labeled as you might as well have died. And then we realized, actually we like money and we like, having a decent life and making a living. And now, athletes used to just go after the highest contracts. And now they're like, where can I set myself up in a city where I can build a brand and be in movies and do all this and blah, blah, blah. Like, it's so much bigger than that. I think that like we're way past any of that, way past.
I mean, we relived it again with, cancel culture in a different way. Tony, tagging you and then Colin.
Koji's never regretted that Pepto-Bismol ad from the 90s that he did. It's never going to leave it. Never going to leave him. I think that what you're saying, Koji, I agree somewhat. And also, I love you. You just lost all of your credibility with me. There is actually a full-on casino in Final Fantasy VII. It's not just a chocobo race. There's an entire casino, the Golden Disc. Anyway, I'm disappointed in you. But I think that there is a big difference. I don't think there's a massive difference between the hyperbolic example you used of the Golden Disc with chocobo races, where you're running around as polygon-shaped avatars riding chickens in a single player game. That, in my opinion, is dramatically different than the millions of kids that are playing Subway Surfer right now, or whatever Roblox game Joe's launching this week, and they are actively engaging in a gacha mechanic, which I thought I was on the fence of like, or on the side of the fence of like, this behavior psychology stuff is a lot of hand wringing, and like kids aren't really going to get addicted to gambling because they open gacha boxes and stuff. But where I think I disagree and I start swinging the pendulum the other way is when they start putting those things really close together, right? Like, it was okay when you did that in Final Fantasy because you couldn't go to Kalshi and be like, is Aerith going to get revived by the end of Final Fantasy? Aerith or Eris? Is Square Enix going to finally reveal the name, right? Like, if that existed, I would be like, you know what? Square Enix should probably be legislated into addressing that, right? They shouldn't be able to have that secret if that's going to be a thing that people are going to gamble on, right? Like, bad example, but I think that we've gotten closer and closer to the entertainment experience being a thing where kids can then go and actually gamble on, that now I can squint and see the argument that these mechanisms are bad in general because.
Finish him.
For the record, I didn't actually want Tony to shut the fuck up. I just wanted to speak next. So I played the card. Here's the thing: as the parent of a child, like, I have control over the content that my child consumes. If there are games with predatory shit in it that I don't like, then my child just won't play them. Like, so much of it is like we need to police all of these things from existing because it's bad for our kids. Like, what? Just police your own fucking kid.
Well, Cody, to double click on that though, you are in this example, you're taking a game where this isn't a part of it, and then you're saying Archero, which if I'm a parent, maybe I have watched them play Archero and I deemed this is okay for them, and then all of a sudden they push an update and now prediction modeling is part of it because they want to get some juice off of the World Cup. And like,
as soon as you see that,
shopping for groceries, dude, I don't know. Like,
okay, sure, but as soon as you see that, you're like, hey, I don't like this. You can't play this anymore, and here's why I don't like it. Right? I don't like that this exists in this game, and you explain to your child, like, look, gambling is bad or whatever. Like, it's actually a moment for you to not just like strip it away from them, but like actually maybe teach a lesson. I know that like we've moved away from that, and we'd rather like AI, I don't know, parent our kids or whatever. But like you can just sit down and have a moment and be like,
Finish him.
Oh no! I made Chris shut the fuck up. Sorry, Chris. I misclicked. It was supposed to be Koji, but I do think, like, you know, I'm gonna say I've looked like a crazy homeless person. I had wonderful parents. My dad is a wonderful person, worked really hard. My mom's a wonderful person. That being said, Tommy Desdemones did not have wonderful parents. He lived next door to me. His mom, she was definitely a stripper. She might have been a prostitute. His dad never had a job. Was always drinking outside. Again, very nice guy. He smelled really bad because his parents didn't make him take baths. Right? I don't think that Tommy should be condemned to a life of gambling addiction because we expected, instead of regulating these things that are pretty easy to look at and say that should be regulated, it just be like, well, fuck it, Tommy's mom's a hooker, so fuck him.
Well, there needs to be laws. Are we going to just say let the parents decide what age their kids should drink at? Is that the new thing? So if you
sounds like it was a little bit too late for Tommy to begin with. And yes, I do think if your parents say you can drink, why not? Like, your parents can still let you drink, even if there are laws.
Yeah, but should that be legal if your parents let a kid drink at 13 years old because the parents are crazy?
It happens in Europe, and I think they're fine. You know what I mean? Like, we're talking about the USA. This ain't Europe. The reason why alcoholism is so rampant in the USA is because we say, no, you can't have this, no, you can't have this, no, you can't have this, instead of teaching people moderation and understanding how this shit works.
So let's play it. So in Portland, should they, when they deregulated drug use, should they have been like opening up clinics, say, we will teach you how to appropriately shoot up heroin, so you learn a little bit more, and then we'll teach you how to like come down and not get addicted. Like, I don't know.
Well, and I also think you're ignoring like I'm gonna a little bit serious here, but it's gonna be funny at the end. I think you're ignoring some like societal infrastructure that exists here, right? When I was in high school, Tommy's house was very fun. Andrew Guglielmini, don't mind saying his name because he's a fucking scumbag, was the head coach, or the head wrestling coach at Manatee High School. Every weekend, Andrew Guglielmini was at Tommy's house having sex with a high school student. And so, like, there are and doing drugs with them and drinking with them. The idea that, like, kids that don't have a good home life are going to find their way through society is like farcical, right? And so that is the reason why and by the way, Tommy's parents eventually got arrested because everyone would go and drink these drugs at his house, right? And like that was the outcome of that for them. I think that should be the outcome, right? I think that building a society around shared responsibility and mutual respect and expecting everyone to be there with you is like not the way to go.
Here's the problem, though. That kid was already fucked. Like, one law about you can't put gambling in video games isn't going to help his life. Like, your example is insane. And the idea of, like, letting people... Your slippery soap argument, Colin, that you made is also insane. Like, oh, well, why don't we just let murder be legal? Or why don't we just let, like, eugenics be legal? Okay, sure. Yeah, there are extreme examples that are shit, but we're talking about video games in which Chris, we allow people to like rape, kill, and murder people. What are we talking about?
Chris, let's get your point of view.
My screen is frozen over like my brain screen is frozen over the whole Andrew Guglielmini, like this neighborhood that Tony grew up in with all these fucking degenerates is awesome. I mean, look, I'm not saying we should put prediction. I would never put prediction markets in Club Penguin. You know, I think there's such a thing as discretion. I mean, RTO, to me, it's a bridge too far, and I think it's probably poor judgment on their part, and maybe they heard backlash from their players. But I think that, you know, it's something that, you know, I'm never a fan of the government telling us how to make video games, because they go down these, you know, they get all of these activists and all of these like fake, you know, social science people, and they make these fake studies up and all these scaremonger things. And, you know, they come up with stuff like, you know, gotcha boxes, you know, create lifelong gamblers. And it's just absolute horse shit. It's not true. Like, there's no one on Skid Row because of gotcha boxes. That's absurd, right? I think, you know, so I do think there's a, you know, I do think that the industry needs to have some scruples about it, so that it doesn't turn into fucking Web3, which I think we all did learn from Web3, that if there's no rules or if there's no like social standards, let's put it that way, then it can degenerate into, the like a place that nobody wants to be very quickly. And so I would advise companies not to do that. But I think that if in the context of your game, it makes sense as a mechanic and it's appropriately targeted at the right age, then I think it's fine if people know what they're getting into. I think it's a different thing when I'm playing, a match 3 game and suddenly I'm being asked to, wager on the World Cup. I also think that real money versus soft currency is a different thing. I don't necessarily buy into the concept that, soft currency is training people to do real money gambling, because the stakes are entirely different, right? Like, oh, I'm going to make a guess, and if I guess right, then I did well. I mean, and one more thing on these mechanics, which is random reward is a part of any kind of gameplay. It's the Skinner box, right? It's in every style of gameplay. Like if you have a card, any kind of card deck, and you have a shoe, that's random reward, right? So if you have card packs and you're going to open card packs, that's random reward. Under some of the definitions that people want to call gambling, you couldn't play fucking Uno. So, I mean, it's just, I think people can get carried away. I want to give broad latitude to game makers to make good games and let the audience regulate them by telling them what they like and what they don't like. And the last time I checked, gamers are not very shy.
I have a question.
Colin, I want to circle back to you. Dub and Koji also looking to jump back in.
Real quick. I just have a question for everybody here. To everyone who believes that gotcha in video games leads to gambling addicts, do we also believe that violence in video games leads to sociopaths?
No, and in fact, the research shows the opposite.
But if you handed a kid a machete but if you handed a kid a machete when he bought Grand Theft Auto 6, I would have a different opinion. That's what
Oh my God! They're going to go back and forth to the end of time on this topic. Like honestly, I think go back to the core question here. Gaming is not the most like if we're going to talk about prediction markets at a macro level, I would put it all on sports as the number one thing. Like they're taking all sorts of money from everyone right now. So I don't think you can listen to or watch an ESPN segment or a Ringer podcast without them slinging prediction markets and gambling sites on you like crazy. So gaming's hands are relatively clean versus almost everybody else in the entertainment medium right now. True. So like, I think we're whipping on a thing that's not an issue. If you want to throw an issue, go to the sports people first and say you guys are creating all these degenerate gamblers or what have you.
Yeah, fuck them. Fuck ESPN.
Oh my God, I didn't know. All right, and then my next point on this one is just to Koji's point, Koji, I will agree. Like gambling and kind of choice has been always part of gaming. My favorite memory of gambling in games was the Mario RPG casino level, where you just like ended up in a casino and that's great. You just played a slot machine and you just had to like get, I forget what like power up or like thing, but you had to basically play a slot machine until you got there. Did I become a degenerate gambler at the age of 18? No. So I think there's truth to the fact that I can gamble inside a game with fake currency and fake outcomes and not leave the other end with an addiction of some sort. But I mean, I always go back to like how Robinhood gamified stock trading, and there's like a bit of it where gamification mechanics are making their way into other places, and I think that's where people could blame gaming. It's like no, they're just learning how games operate, and they're applying the like gaming mechanics into other places that then make those places addictive. But that's not gaming's problem. That's just gamification. So I just see gamification making its way across other places. So I wouldn't put that on gaming's plate. It's just other places are taking the lessons learned in gaming and applying to other mediums like Robinhood.
Colin, for lunch on Friday, let's go down to the racetrack.
Oh, Santa Anita, let's bet some horses. Absolutely.
I took my son down there when he was young, and I placed a bet for him and my kids, and one won and the other one lost. And my son that won was psyched, and the one who lost was like, "Okay, do I get my $5 back?" I was like, "No, you lost it. That's how gambling works." And he cried. He was like, "I never want to gamble again."
Let's go to Dub.
Now they're going to live in Skid Row, brother.
Then we're going to move on.
We doom them.
Jesus, dude. Well, as a like level 5 max tier degenerate gambler, I can tell you guys that I'm not like the son of Satan or anything like that. I think I'm a pretty good guy overall. So like I wouldn't stress too hard over like gambling lifestyles and how that impacts people. But to add on to Colin's point on how this is like a little bit null and void is I just don't see the prediction markets working for gaming. Like there is just not going to be enough liquidity, to my original word, on like for people that are willing to put money on this stuff in the first place. Like I could see some fringe cases, maybe with GTA launch or some epic Fortnite thing, but like I see a lot of failures in trying to make this work inside of gaming and bringing in money and getting enough people to have enough money for it to be interesting on both sides. It's never going to play out. So for a good advanced gambling like look at it, I just don't see it being fun, entertaining, or even like profitable to participate in.
And many of us on this panel actually know a founder who he put prediction markets into his game for the patch notes. He's like predict what we're going to nerf and what we're going to buff, and that game is no longer in service anymore. Koji, quick take before we move on.
No, I'm good.
I was just playing Parallel the other day.
Not that one.
Look, if we had prediction markets in our buff and nerf notes, I would be a millionaire at this point, man. I would just. What's the under over, and how can I make money on this motherfucker? No, I'm just kidding.
Nintendo buy or sell. They sold almost 20 million Switch 2 consoles in the first fiscal year, which is one of the strongest console launches ever. But Nintendo's own forecasts say the next fiscal year, is going to be lower at 16.5 million units. The other issue is software of 48.7 million units, the Switch 2 software units. Nintendo reported about 12.6 million were bundled. So once you remove those copies, the organic attach rate looks much weaker than the headline numbers suggest. The stock is currently down 48% on the year, sitting at $11.77. And my question for you guys at this point is buy or sell. Tony, which side you taking?
Buy. You don't sleep on Nintendo. They've had one bad cycle. Don't sleep on Nintendo.
Yeah, I'm buying it.
Looking at the chart, I think Nintendo's a buy.
I'm a sell.
Are you asking me to gamble on the price of Nintendo stock?
No, it's stocks. It's different. Everybody knows.
If I were a stock gambler, I think I'd be a buy.
I'm all caps buy and then long.
Yeah.
He doesn't want the 6-month check-in, but he'll hold. He'll be a hodler. Koji, I want to go to you first on this one. If we haven't heard you talk enough so far to this episode, I just need to know why you're selling and everybody else is buying.
I mean, it's kind of like the Roblox argument that we had earlier, right? It's just like, what have you done for me lately? And I think that they came out of the gate so strong that the numbers are going to be not as strong, and thus the stock will go down. And then I'll probably buy it. Like I'm a short-term sell at the moment because like I don't think we've gotten to the lowest low, and as anyone will tell you, let's buy low and sell high, right? So like let's get it a little lower before I'm buying, because I think that like we're in a place now where obviously hardware is getting more expensive. A lot of the excitement over the games yet to be released, the hype is not as high as it was, and obviously the number of units that they were able to sell out of the gate just means a decline in the number of units able to be sold now, which means the stock is gonna further crater, and then we can reap the rewards. I'm long on Nintendo, but if I'm playing the game, I think right now is not the time to buy.
Colin, tagging you in, then let's go to Tony.
Yeah, I'm the one that asked you to put this topic up here, and it's based on an analyst report that I'm going to debate this guy tomorrow on another thing. So he's a fucking clown, and this is what pisses me off about Wall Street and their lack of understanding of gaming. Like, you read these reports and they come out with things like Nintendo should really put their games on all devices, and I'm like Sony is right now on Steam, and I'm like, do you guys fucking follow the gaming news? Like, Sony pulled back all their games off Steam because of exclusivity. It's like the market doesn't understand gaming, and Nintendo is like the biggest example of the market understanding gaming. They're like, well, the Switch price went up by $50, and I'm like, and PC gaming is just so much cheaper. And I'm like, have you bought a PC, bro? Do you know what the PC prices are now? Do you know how much a graphics card is going to cost you in the next 3 to 5 years? Like, Sit the fuck down. You guys are idiots. You both are buying AI stocks. You're like, AI is only going up. NVIDIA's going to charge more for their GPUs. And then going, oh, but Nintendo, oh, oof, man, PC games are going to take over, but Nintendo, God, they might have to raise their price point by another fucking $50. Like, I'm long on Nintendo because they're going to be the value machine for this generation. They already won it. They came out with a device. Everyone's going to go across the $1,000 mark, and they're going to be one sitting at $500-$600 and be like, family's like, what do I buy my kid? Well, I could buy this fucking $1,200 Xbox, or looks over, there's a Switch 2 here. It does play Resident Evil Requiem on it. Why just buy Junior this, hand it off to them, and let them go? Hell, I'll buy me one too, and double my footprint on Nintendo. Like, they're situated for such a long winning cycle over time, and the software and the hype shit, like, sit the fuck down. Their attach rate on Mario Kart's insane. Pokepia as also an insane attach rate on their devices, and the Zelda game is coming out presumably this fall. In my own analysis that I published last week, it's the only game that's gonna like do as well as Grand Theft Auto. Not as well as Grand Theft Auto. It's going to do as well or around Tears of the Kingdom numbers, and it's shocking because like you're competing against Grand Theft Auto 6. I'm like, not when you're selling to kids, you're gonna crush it. Them in Minecraft Dungeons too. So they're going after a TAM that's not competing with GTA. Like they're a really, really solid position. Never mind, they just started their Disney flywheel with the IP and the theme parks and everything else. I'm a buy on Nintendo right now. I'm up on Nintendo personally, and I'm along on Nintendo because I think they're going to be situated for the next 5 to 10 years.
But didn't the arguments you just make? Sorry, I keep interjecting here. But didn't the arguments you just make mean sell? Right? Like you're saying the market doesn't understand these things. And that's the point. Like it's all about the stock price, not
Finish.
Yeah, no. So no, it was a sell at the top of the market. They've already dropped by 40, 50 points. It's a buy now. It was a sell at the top, fair enough, but it's already been sold off, and now it's a buy because they're on their hill climb back up. So it was a sell, and people did sell, and now I'm on a buy.
Touche, Colin. Tony, what you got on this one? You said buy. Does that include the short term?
Buy. Yes. So. Little known fact: when the yen is suffering, Nintendo's value goes up because they have a large amount of their treasury locked up in the yen, and so when they take in the 80% of the revenue that they get that is not in the yen, they convert a lot of that to the yen, and magic happens financially, and it's pretty consistent that the value of the yen generally has like a double-digit percentage impact on the financials for Nintendo, and the yen has been at a, I think, decade-long low right now. And so like right now, I wouldn't buy right now, but like a week from now, a month from now, I almost said Amazon. The United States has been entering into a number of agreements around trade and a bunch of other shit that we're doing that is supposed to bolster the yen over the next like year and a half. And so I would probably wait until it starts going up, but that's when I would be buying. Is like as soon as the yen starts to move, I'm all in. And then I'm holding forever because I don't think the yen's going to drop again.
Macroeconomics instead of the micro.
I only know this, guys. I know nothing about anything I just said. I only know this because I worked at Nintendo for 2 years, and 1 year they gave us a bonus, and I was like, I didn't think we did that well this year. Everyone was worried about losing their jobs, and they're like, oh yeah, the yen went down, and I was like, but we're a Japanese company. This all just seems like the wrong thing to be saying right now. I was like, no, you don't understand economics. I was like, you know what? I don't, but now I do.
That's awesome. Joe, going to you.
Well, I just pulled up a max chart of Nintendo's stock, and it seems to have massive spikes, and then it goes down, and then it lands at a new higher floor, and then it spikes again at some point. This has been going on for 20 years, a little over 20 years, according to the chart. Mm-hmm. So currently they're at the down cycle of a spike, and it's Nintendo. It's the best company in entertainment. It's the only company left with real IP and real integrity in their product. So, based on the historical cycle and the fact that this is the best company in the entire entertainment sphere, that's just a win. There's not that much more to say about it. They're awesome. Their products are amazing. They market things well. Their brands are the best and most beloved in the world, and they have the highest artistic aspirations in the field. I love Nintendo. I've never said a bad word about Nintendo. They march to the beat of their own drummer. They zig when the market zags. They're brilliant. They're creative, and they are winners.
Well said, Chris, over to you.
I mean, I think this company is massively undervalued. I mean, if you look at Nintendo, they're worth 60 billion USD in market cap. I mean, NBC Universal is going to spin out for probably around 50. Xbox, when I did the analysis on that, would spin out at around 100. So you're talking about, Nintendo being at half the valuation of Xbox. Compare those two companies in their current state, as well as the longevity and the extensibility of the IP to families and everything else. NBCU is minting money off those parks, as well as, the movies. They've got Zelda coming out. Like, I think it's only up and to the right for Nintendo because they've done a great job. The other thing is, if Lims were to throw up the chart that I sent him that Joe just referred to, if you look at the spikes, like each successive spike is bigger than the last. And so I think that there's a strong case to be made that if you're long on the stock, that it will appreciate over the next, say 5 years, but you got to be long.
Chris, real quick, as Lem says, he's pulling up that chart. Is there any chance that we're just massively overvaluing these game companies? Like, it is hard for me to believe that Activision was also worth more than Nintendo is, given they have no hardware business. And like you said, Nintendo, it's not like they don't have IPs or something that are valuable. But is it likely, or is there at least a chance that maybe we're just massively overvaluing basically every game company, and there's a correction that's still coming to lower it even further?
No, I think they're undervalued. I mean, if you look at it right now, I know we're hitting stock market all-time highs, but people need to understand that that's relative to M2, right? And so, we're at stock market all-time highs, but it's also because there's more money in circulation than there's ever been. So we should be at stock market all-time highs. If you look at what's really going on with money, we're at an all-time high of money sitting in money markets. There's a lot of money that's just sitting, liquidity that's just sitting on the sidelines because of the war and the geopolitical uncertainty. That that once we get past this moment in history, and hopefully we get to a more peaceful, better for business kind of time. I don't see why Nintendo doesn't benefit. I think the biggest problem that Nintendo has, frankly, is hardware prices, right? And whether hardware prices break their business model. But they've navigated a lot of cycles. It's beloved IP. It's unlike a lot of gaming IP. It's not, it's not a single quadrant type thing. It's 4 quadrant IP. Men, women, young, old. I mean, look at those spikes, dude. Like, look at that, 2007 spike. Then you get another one, around 2019 that's higher. Then you get another one in, 2025 that's even higher. I mean, what doesn't tell you that that's going to keep going up? And you can see it's already bottomed.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. I'm just using my eyes and looking at a chart.
If you look at the chart, you're going to have 2-3 years of kind of sideways to down, maybe, until we see that big pop, until they announce the next whatever Switch 3 or whatever. But
yeah, I mean, Nintendo's never going to live down the Wii U, even especially in the gaming industry. That's the thing that people always point to. Like, well, Nintendo came out with the Wii U, but if you remove the Wii U from their generation and you have the Wii to the Switch to now the Switch 2, no one's been on a run like they have, right? So it's an incredible run on their end. And like Nintendo, like the Wii U is going to kill you. It didn't. Then mobile is going to kill Nintendo because kids are just going to grab their mobile phones and no longer play console Switch games and 3DS again. That didn't happen either. Like, every time people pontificate about the death of Nintendo, Nintendo's like still there, still clicking, still doing what they do, right? And I just don't see that changing. And the hardware bit, Chris, like, if you raise the price by the Switch by $50 more, and the Steam Deck raises its price by $200, who's at more disadvantage to the normal Joe consumer at buying a new thing like Steam, like the Steam Deck, like, and the same is with the PlayStation, the same as the Xbox. So like this ridiculous notion that Nintendo has a hardware problem while their competitors are raising it by dollar amounts far further than they are. Like Nintendo's going to clean up on the value side. Like when people go to Christmas and look for value-based console machines, and if the Switch 2 can run some modern games, they're going to go, well, why don't you buy the Switch 2? And if they're Switch, and my bullish case on Nintendo is like they bought into that they're Apple now, and they're just going to update the Switch as a form factor forever. It's like, hey, great, Switch 3, Switch 4, Switch 5, Switch 6, Switch 7 with an HD screen that you could bend in half. Like they're just going to go on the Apple train now and just continue to update their form factor because there's nothing else better.
I want to move on, but I see 3 more names lit up. Dub, Koji, Tony. Let's get some quick takes, and then we'll go to the next topic. Dub, go ahead.
I mean, that was exactly what I was going to say. Is like all they have to do is announce Switch 3, and then this chart moons at the end of the day. Like, and I feel like they can just say that whenever they want at this point in the current hardware race. But for sure, the other thing is like taken away from listening to all you guys is the gaming market is dominated by GTA right now, and Nintendo literally does not give a shit about that because they're going after kids, and kids aren't allowed to play GTA. So it's just like a no-brainer that this thing is going to do great. Like I'm looking for some rogue startup that's tokenizing their stock so I can put it on a 40x long right now. Like I think this thing is only up for the rest of forever.
Well, it's a good point. I think on the bearish short-term case where everything else is going to be capturing these great headlines about how much money they're making because, people are buying PlayStations to play Grand Theft Auto or whatever. And Nintendo is going to be absent from all of those. And so if it's merely like where are people paying attention and therefore they're going to put their money there, probably not great for Nintendo through the end of the year until they start getting the Christmas headlines, which maybe end up circling them back in. I see a couple of heads nodding at that. Tony, let's go to you and then Koji. Muted again.
Sorry, it's been about 3 years since I've had a good friend at Nintendo. Sorry, not Nintendo, at the Pokemon Company. But my understanding is that, like, as of 3 years ago, Pokemon Go was still making like $100 million, right, a year. And when I hear Colin say stuff like, "Oh, first it was going to be this, and then it was going to be mobile," like that's where my head goes. It's like they can always it's never. The door's never closed there, right? Like, you can always bring Mario wherever the fuck.
I think it's more. Right? I think it's more than $100 million here. Didn't Scopely buy Pokemon Go for $3 billion or something like that? It's more.
Niantic makes
like
other
600.
games.
I think it's $600 million a year.
Okay, so they're making hundreds of millions of dollars a year. And that's my point. Is like the mobile thing. Like they made that farcical just by putting 2 games out that aren't distracting from any of their other titles. And the other thing I wanted to say is the biggest indicator for me that the Switch is going to be absolutely like the dominant console this round is the addition of Madden to the lineup. When I worked at EA Sports, Cam Weber, the guy who is I think he still was the EP at the time. I think he's still the EP. He referred to it wasn't the Wii. They didn't even have it. It was like the GameCube and the N64 was the last ones they did before the Switch. He referred to them as those shitty SKUs. He's like, oh yeah, like one of the best things I did when I came and took over was like, oh, he's rid all these fucking shitty SKUs that no one bought. Those PC SKUs, the Nintendo SKUs, like no one bought those things. And like he wasn't shy about it. Like I didn't like the thing I just said. Like I didn't ask him that question. Like he would just say it when he would like he was in meetings and stuff talking about how he changed the organization. And so like for me to see them like front and center on the Switch every time I fire up the Switch 2, I'm like someone who spent a lot of money on market research and where they should be launching their games convinced someone who runs the studio and hates these games that he should release them. And that's like that's impressive to me. Like that of all the stuff we said, that was the thing that jumped at me. I was like, oh fuck, EA's like betting on Nintendo again. This is wild.
I love the anecdote. It's going to go to Koji in just a second, but according to Grok, analytics firm AppMagic estimated roughly $745 million from just Pokemon Go in 2025. That excludes numbers from web shops. So with web shops, they're assuming it's about $1 billion just from Pokemon Go in 2025, which is fucking insane. Koji, last word, then we're going to move on.
Yeah, real quick. First of all, just responding to Colin's message that got flashed up on the screen there. I was actually arguing that kids playing violent games won't raise murderers, not the opposite. I was also allowing for gambling in games, but all I want to say is this: these same people a couple months ago, we're telling you to buy Roblox stocks. And I'll just leave it at that. I'll just leave it at that.
Touche, brother, touche. Topic number 4, Steam releases are absolutely exploding. Steam released roughly 11,800 games in the first half of 2026. 4 years earlier, it released only 5,800 in the same time frame. Sounds like abundance, also sounds like a market where every developer is shouting into the same room, hoping to have their voice heard. Premium Steam revenue fell from roughly $5.65 billion in the first half of 2025 to 5.36 in the first half of 2026, while copies sold fell from a peak of 446 million to under 400 million, 391 to be exact. So we have more games, but fewer premium copies being sold, and a discovery system that still rewards the games that can create a social event, really capitalize on Steam Next Fest and stuff like that. Obviously, chief among them being the ones with previously known intellectual properties. My question for the panel, though, is it a red flag or a green flag that we're getting inundated with all of these new releases? And more specifically, how do you feel about the future and how, I mean, clearly this is going to be a trend that continues, especially with development getting easier and easier. Joe, we have you in the Roblox ecosystem. We have tons of people that are competing in the app stores. We have tons of people that are competing on Steam. Curious what you guys see for the future going forward here, but real quick, going to go around the panel. Red flag or green flag? Do we like the abundance of games, or do we think this is a massive issue that gaming is going to have to solve in getting discovery for these things? Chris, going to you first. Red flag, green flag?
Bright green.
I'm also green.
If you're a developer, you're red flag. If you're Steam, fucking green flag.
Green! Green!
Also a great comment in the chat here. He said, from the slop rises the treasure.
Exactly, dude. I'm a forest green on this one.
Green.
We are lit up with everybody trying to jump in on this one. Dub, I'll go back to you. Forest green, eh? What do we got on this one? Why do you think that?
I mean, I just think it's cool that I'm thinking about 6 months back when AI games were first starting to hit Steam, and there's this big like blocker against it from the community. Everyone hating on games, saying that, you know, AI slop this, taking our jobs that, and now we're getting to the point where it seems that the proliferation of AI games into Steam is happening. We're seeing more and more games launch with the correct warnings, the correct amount of AI into the game, people being accepting of that. And I think that will naturally see the premium titles being purchased also grow from that. It's just it's market time in this, and the consumer is getting used to the rise of friend slop and the change of this gaming market that we have and how we interact with it. So I think it's overall just nothing but good green signs, as indicated by everyone's votes here.
Chris Heatherly, you said bright green. My question for you, in addition to why you chose that, is it up to the platforms that are selling these games to help you with discovery, or are we just going to keep outsourcing that to TikTok and social media platforms forever?
Yeah, I think platforms need to invest in getting better at discovery and finding new ways for people to discover content as they get more content on the platform. I mean, I think that Roblox has been good at this. I think Steam has been good at this. I think the App Store, the Apple App Store, has been absolutely lousy at it. And that's why the mobile ecosystem is stagnant to slowly dying, while some of these other platforms are growing. But I don't think more games are a sign of anything bad. I mean, one of the things about movies is that, but for comparison, is that when people, the studies show that when people go to movies, when you have a good streak of movies like we've had over the last couple of months, it trains people that movies are, it becomes a cool thing to do, right? It gets back in the culture, and kind of all boats rise because people get back in the habit of going to movies. Where when you have times like COVID, or right after COVID, when people are not going and the movies are not that good, it develops the opposite behavior. So, the more good games, the more people are going to these stores, the more they're going to see additional other games that they might want to play, the more they'll download those games, and it becomes a virtuous loop. Can you get to a place where there's too much? Yes, but that's where you need the discovery mechanisms in these apps to help surface, the right content to the right people. Somehow it's working on Steam, right? Steam has got more games than ever, and yet we're seeing more indies pop off than ever. So, I think it shows that all boats can rise.
Koji, you're also a green flag along with the rest of the panel pretty much. What's your opinion here? And how do you, you're literally launching or have launched 3 separate games. How do you guys think about distribution and trying to stick out from the noise whenever your IP isn't necessarily a household name?
Well, first, I just want to say that I think Chris nailed it on the head. Like, repetitious behavior is important, and centering gaming in the culture is good for gaming in general. And I think that more games is definitely an indication of that. As far as like cutting through the noise, I don't think that there's an answer that you can give for right now, but as more and more games come to the forefront, things are going to change, right? Like at one point, people would have told you that like SEO was like the most important thing in the world, and now people are like, SEO doesn't matter at all, right? And so it's kind of one of these things where you just have to roll with the times. And I think that when gaming becomes more popular and the market is more saturated, the solutions will also hopefully rise to the forefront. Like look at any other form of media that's like very saturated. Music is a great example, right? Are you like, well, music's dead, no one's listening to music? No. Like monocultural music may not be where it once was. Like not everyone's listening to, I don't know, Michael Jackson, and the album sales are never going to hit in the hundreds of millions anymore. But the idea that like no one cares about music anymore because there's so much music out there is ludicrous. Now, yes, it's harder to find the things that you love, but virality, social media, all of that stuff will raise stuff to the forefront. I think that like if you're asking if there's a way to game the system so that you are the one in front of all of the eyeballs, as a gamer, I actually don't give a shit about that, to be honest with you. I want to see the stuff that people are actually having fun with, as opposed to the stuff that, whatever algorithm is trying to feed, whatever slop they're trying to feed me. So.
And they are trying to feed you slop. Colin, going to you. Do you think your entire business is around understanding where people are paying attention? What do you think about this discovery problem that we might be facing?
It's going to become more amplify, which is the power law effect, right? So when you kind of increase, the curve is going to be basically the people that extract the most value are going to be a very small subset at the top of the curve, right? And unfortunately for a lot of people out there outside of Valve, because they're doing just fine, they also own the biggest games on Steam itself. So like the more stuff Valve decides to put out there, with Deadlock coming at some point to the mass market, which is going to be a big game, they're going to eat up more of that kind of attention share on their own platform now with Dota 2, Team Fortress, and CSGO. And so like I just think it becomes more and more challenging for the people that are trying to break through with more and more volume, right? And then it goes down to discovery. I am not convinced that Valve will ever actually fix discovery, because I don't think they're going to ever embrace the means in which they should, how they should be able to fix discovery issues. And so I push back on curation. I think curation is a terrible idea. I don't think that actually works. You need to be an algo-driven machine where you basically kind of give the right person the right piece of content, so the games in and of themselves don't have to be as big to find success. So I just look at it from Valve, but ultimately the more games on Steam, the more money, and the more people are on Steam, then the more money Valve ultimately makes. So it's good for Valve, green flag for them all day. Where I just take pause is that the more games try to get on Steam, the more percentage of them are going to fail. Like the more stuff that's out there, the more of them are going to fail, thus making it more and more challenging for the creators themselves. But that's like every platform out there. It's the YouTube problem, right? Like there's a gajillion creators on YouTube, but 99% of them get nothing watched, and less than 1% actually make a lot of money. And everyone else is kind of just throwing shit at the wall, but nothing sticks, right? So if you're looking to make an income, tough as a creator, at like a macro level, but individually, maybe one of them breaks through. So awesome for them because they have the opportunity. We're far from the days of EA controlling what goes into a Best Buy. So maybe that's an upside.
Tony, and then Joe.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I've said this before, and I'll say it again. The infinite monkey theory is that if you trap monkeys in a room with typewriters for an infinite amount of time, they will eventually produce Shakespeare. And I believe that is absolutely true of more. Oh wait, Oh man, you distracted me, Coach. Yeah, I unmuted, asshole. But no, and I really think that is the case here with at least indie games. Like I think that AAA games are still going to need to be like labors of love that like take months and maybe years. But like I think that we're going to see more and more Mecha Chroma or the the hide and seek games, Peaks, even like Hades, which I wouldn't consider slop, right? Hades is like a AAA indie game in my humble opinion. And I think we'll see more of that, more Slay the Spires, and I think we'll see a sea of everything that Joe sees every day on Roblox. And as Joe said earlier, it's the only place where you can be an overnight millionaire right now. And I believe, you can tell me if I'm full of shit here, Joe, that a big part of that is the proliferation of so much content. Because there's just like, it's like, again, eventually, like the monkey's going to write Shakespeare. And so you just got to keep letting them type.
Joe, do we believe in letting the monkeys type forever and proliferate every platform with unlimited amounts of content?
I mean, if it was up to me, I would want to run a highly curated platform business. Right? My Roblox career is the height of career irony in a lot of ways, because I actually really want to do really high concept things. My current life dream is to make enough money on Roblox to be able to start the A24 of games out of my own pocket, producing high concept, visually stunning, socially provocative video games. That's my mission statement in life. I'm doing it by working on the platform with the absolute most kind of quick to market, quick to dopamine products there is. Can't make this stuff up. UGC has changed the whole world, and gaming is just the last frontier of media to be completely disrupted by UGC. It was too hard to make games. I was on a call with an AI gaming platform today, and this is a prompt to game platform, and the products are pretty good, actually. Like, this is, make the games very quickly, swipe to find your next game. I had been on it a few months ago, and the products were not very impressive. And I went on it today before my call with them, and I was like, God damn, these are legit little games. And they're fun, and they work, and they look good. So that's how quickly the technology is improving. What is I don't know if you guys ever read Bob Lefsetz's, the Lefsetz Letter. He's a music industry commentator. I don't know how I found him, but apparently he's very popular with a certain group. And he had a point that I've been personally agreeing with for a long time, which is that there will never be another Beatles. There will never be another Elvis. There'll never be another artist or movie there'll never be another Godfather. There'll never be another movie of such cultural import. But what is of that cultural import is the platforms themselves now. And why? It's because the hyperfragmentation of content distribution, when anyone can make anything and anyone can find the weird little thing that interests them as a person. And most people are not necessarily that intentional about what they want to play or what they want to watch. TikTok is the ultimate proof of lack of intentionality. It is designed on a fundamental lack of intentionality as its actual premise. It's just a matter of time before that comes to this industry. So that's why it's a green light. I think it's great if anyone can make anything and find an audience for it. Is it good for me as a developer? Not necessarily. Is it a good career to go into content creation in today's day and age? Yes, in that you can still become a millionaire overnight, but maybe it'll become so competed out that your percentage likelihood will become so impossible that it won't be at some point. But that's just where all of the technology and the demand is going. And people want to make video games. People will do it. People will do it for free, and people will do it if they can make money. So it's a green light, because what is there to say that's negative about it at the end of the day?
Colin, going to you for the last word.
Yeah, I was trying to get a visual, but I think it's too hard to read, but that's kind of the point of the visual. I have a screenshot inside of a separate chat channel. Basically, it just shows you what it's like in the ecosystem of Steam right now. And you have dominant power law games, including Dota and CSGO. a bunch of tier 2 games that are doing just fine, and a sea of infinite like small games that will never find an audience. And that's the ecosystem. So when I tell my kid, hey, you too could become a game creator and put your game on Steam, I would never give him that career advice. That'd be terrible. Much like I wouldn't tell him to become a content creator on TikTok or YouTube, because that's also terrible career advice. I would say find another way to get to that point. But, you know, sometimes they become famous. So who knows, right? But I think it's a gamble. A lot of it's a gamble. And that's kind of how I look at it from a creator standpoint. But if you're Steam and you're Valve and you own these ecosystems, yeah, let the money train rip, man. Because I think it's a profitable business for them.
Colin,
Tony, quick word.
Colin, I love you, brother, but you're way too young to be talking like that, man. Come on, you're boomering out here. I only say that because if my kid watches this episode, I want them to remember that I said that if you want to stay at home till you're 30 and be a YouTuber, that's totally fine, totally cool. But no, I think that the idea that, and I without being as flippant as I just was, I think that the idea that being a game creator, being a content creator, is like a gamble or less of a real career opportunity now is a little dated of a statement. I mean, we're sitting here with a couple of guys who've only done that in their careers, right? And so I do think that it's more and more possible. It's not fine nor cool, but I do think that. Again, if I was telling my kid what they should do for their career, I would not be like, hey, you should go be a game developer. But I do think that with the proliferation of all these tools, and to the topic we're talking about, more content meaning more opportunity, that there are only going to be more people who you look at and would have otherwise said, oh, they just got lucky or they fell into that career, because the tools are advancing so quickly, and because the as shitty as the curation in the marketplaces are, like, Megabonk still exists and Mechachroma's Chameleon or whatever still exists.
Yeah.
And right. And so like and those existed in a way that like was not possible. Well,
as long as it's not algorithmic, very high quality content can go viral as long as it's based on influencers on Steam as opposed to Roblox. Roblox is algorithmic. It has to get the dopa drip to win. On Steam, people can find content and they can use their platform to make it popular, even if it's very interesting or unique or hard to understand content sometimes.
Yes, sorry. So violent agreement. Violent agreement.
Yeah, agreed. I'm agreeing with you. Yeah.
And all of those tools now. Yeah, like now, like before, the thing you just said was farcical as well, right? Someone's sitting around making an indie game. If you're a 12-year-old kid making a Roblox game, 5-6 years ago, you might be editing videos, but you probably weren't. And now you just go to Claude or GPT and be like, here's an hour of me making my Roblox game, go make some clips, right? And I don't know, it just feels like it's never been more possible because of things like we're seeing here to go make money making games.
And I agree with all that. And they have to fix discovery, because that's the challenge. It's like other medium. Like I could become a popular YouTube creator because the algo will eventually find the right person for the right audience. I could become a popular TikTok person because the algo will find the right person for the right audience, right? Gaming lacks that ecosystem right now, which is why I'm more bullish on anything on Xbox, because I think they are going to stumble their way through just lighting billions of dollars on fire to end up in that spot and be kind of the forebearer on that. But like, it's not going to be Steam and Valve because they have.
But wait, I gotta ask now, because like, and I'm going to be Sam here for a second. But Colin, it sounds like what you just said is in direct content or contention with what Joe just said, and so I want to understand who's right. Joe.
Oh.
Joe,
I just think here's the beauty of Roblox. You don't need to know anything about marketing. You just need to make a game until you find one that hits the algo. I mean, I wrote this newsletter 2 weeks ago on Bloxonomics about the team behind Kick a Lucky Block, which is 3 Israeli. I think 2 of them are cousins and one of them is a family friend, or they all were in the army together, whatever. They made 30 games in 30 days. 29 were flops. 1 has made them into multimillionaires. This is the beauty of Roblox. They don't need to know anything about marketing. They just need to ship. Steam is the opposite, okay? You want to win on Steam. Discovery is not, you can't rely on discovery. You haven't been able to rely on discovery, in my opinion, for years. Sure, it's great if you get featured in the Steam store, but that's not a strategy. You got to go out and you got to go on the Reddit forums for your genre, and you got to drop assets. You've got to build a Discord. I think, Colin, you were talking about that a few weeks ago, was building out your own Discord. You got to be an influencer, like the guy who made Megabonk. I can't remember that guy's name. That guy's got a following. You know, that's the game. That's the game in media today. By the way, Bob Lefsetz writes about this as well, to bring him up again. The game in media today is being a personality and having a footprint with an audience, and then you have distribution. In the D2C business, in the direct-to-consumer business, my wife has an e-com business that she's building. It's amazing. Check it out, dearcecilia.com. It's all about influencers, right? And that whole business is all about, if you're an influencer, you can launch a fashion brand, you can launch a handbag brand, you can launch an underwear brand. And if you're not, boy, it is an uphill battle, right? It's all about who has the eyeballs. And the beauty of Roblox is you don't need the eyeballs. The algorithm can make you get the eyeballs as a game developer.
And yeah, and I mean, and to answer Tony's question, I think the answer is somewhere in the middle. I think the lack of discovery and the needing to go rent attention for most players out there to go buy it to a streamer maybe and go like, please play my game for 3 hours. So some modicum of them will wishlist me. I think that's a broken system. I think a completely freewheeling algo system is probably a bit broken too. I think there's a happy middle that just doesn't exist.
I'm also, I feel like what we're headed for eventually, though, is going to be some version of dead internet theory. And it's not going to be like one day we just cross this threshold and everything sucks, but we are a runaway train, basically, to the point where there is so much content that you essentially must pay in order to be featured content on websites to get actual eyeballs and impressions toward your thing. Or you can own that media, but as we've seen with every social platform across the board, they have all gone to algorithms that don't really care about your followers either. And so that at a certain point is getting devalued to the point that doesn't matter very much either. And so if that's the case, then what's left? It's literally only paid spend for impressions, which is part of why I'm getting into performance marketing, because I really think this is where every single platform, I mean, Amazon went from nothing in advertising revenue to $70 billion in advertising revenue in like 2 years, because they were like, you know what we should do? We should just sell people only the things that are recommended all the time. And everything is heading this way. Kroger and United Airlines are advertising businesses now. It's insane.
Can I mic drop you? Can I just mic drop you? You're 100% right. Who do you think is going to be the biggest customer of Microsoft's advertising business? It's not Procter and Gamble, I'll tell you that. It's going to be the game companies, right? And you're 100% right. But that's not necessarily bad. Like, people look at performance marketing as an evil thing. Go to the DCC side that Joe brought up. Like, Meta created and enabled multiple small businesses at an infinite level to exist because their advertising platform is so amazing that I could sell a fucking baseball mitt to me in California from some podunk small town in Kansas, and they know who I am, and they can find me, and they can sell me that thing, and they can live a happy, comfortable life out of Kansas. And that's like an amazing outcome for everybody involved. They can exist. I can find the product I want, and this business can exist because Meta has built an amazing advertising platform.
And this is the big cosmic joke of the internet. The big cosmic joke of the internet is that, on one hand, it has enabled people to chase dream careers and dream ways of creating income for themselves that would have been completely impossible 20 years ago. On the other hand, it has exposed how bad mass market taste is in everything, right? And so, so you've got to both applaud it and love the fact that you can now pursue the weird niche that you want to build as a business and find those people directly through Meta, through Google, and you can build the bizarre Steam game of your dreams and sell 1 million copies of it. At the same time, you got to ignore the fact that, the most popular Instagrammers and TikTokers in the world are people that you probably wish you didn't know existed and wish you didn't know how popular they were. When the most offensive music act in the world was Dave Matthews Band, the world was a more humane place. Like, now the amount of content out there, the type of stuff out there that people like, you're just like, oh man, are you serious? But that's what we're doing.
Well said. Let's tag in Chris, and then Chris, I'm also going to ask for your MVP vote as we get to the end of the show here.
I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with performance marketing, but you have to have organic discovery as well. You have to have a way for people to break through based on organic interest and not just paid. I mean, you can look at what's happened to the App Store, right? The App Store has become completely paid to download. And it's killed the business. Nothing new can really break through. So you have to have a combination of those things. I tend to think, look, I mean, the X just launched the ability to use XBuild to build these little interactive apps and publish them to a Grok URL. It looks like they're going to add the ability to actually post those as interactive cards on your feed, so you'll be able to play games in feed. If that's true, then you've got a whole new discovery mechanism for games. I think to your point, Sam, as we get more games will have to get shorter, and they'll have to fit into people's daily habits. And so people may have many, many more game type experiences, but they won't have, be spending as much time on 100-hour games, but that's okay, right? We have all kinds of video content. We have video content from 15 seconds all the way up to multiple hours, and people watch it all. And I think that games have been too long stuck in a very limited number of formats and a very limited number of distribution channels. And I think that's only going to expand. And I think that there's an opportunity to have many more gamers playing a much wider variety of games being discovered across way more things. We just need the platforms to evolve there. My MVP, I think I'm going. It's so tough, man. Joe had great takes today, I have to say. Also, he has a really good microphone and a great voice. And so I'm going to give Joe my MVP today.
Great pick. Oh wow, we get the balloons too. That's a special. Koji, over to you, and then we'll also take your MVP vote.
Yeah, real quick. I mean, I think this conversation is more about like how do we capture an audience or attention reliably in order to build a business out of it. But like, there's always going to be cream that rises to the top. I mean, Obsession, to beat a dead horse, is probably like an amazing example from the movie. From a movie standpoint, when it was set to be released, it was set to go on streaming services like a month and a half after release, and obviously was pushed back because of the massive success of its box office. And that only happened through word of mouth. It wasn't because of some algorithm or some influencer marketing or any of that. It just kind of happened because people were like, hey, that thing is amazing. Or like, to bring it closer to home, Parallel only exists because we started shit talking people on X. We paid $0 in marketing for the longest time. In fact, only this year did we actually start, or like last year, excuse me, we actually start putting real dollars into marketing. Before that, it was just a bunch of nonsense talk on the internet and us cold messaging Chad Hurley, the founder of YouTube, and being like, yo, check out our insane idea. And now it exists, right? And like, we were able to do things like sell a card for $1 million and blah, 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 without any of those influencers or advertising dollars or whatever. So like, it can be done. It's just really fucking hard. You know what? I'm gonna layer it on. For me, there's a three-way MVP between Tony, Joe, and Colin, because I think that they all made amazing points, and I kind of love them all. But I'm gonna go with Joe on this one too.
Joe going 2 for 2 so far. Colin, who you got?
Thank you.
Colin, you're muted. You're pulling a Tony.
Oh, my bad. I was like, hey, can I break the mold? And can I give it to you, Sam? Your rant on performance marketing at the end makes you my MVP. So I'm actually gonna do zag and just give it to you.
Thanks, bud. Always feels good to win one. Tony, who you got for MVP, bud?
Oh, definitely Joe. Joe, I have been DMing my co-founders with quotes from you on this on this show, so I appreciate it.
Thanks. That's very flattering. Thank you.
Dub, should I just put you down as voting for yourself, or are we going to break the mold there too?
What? Yeah, I was going to vote for Colin. I got $10 down on that shit.
I told you, every time Joe's on the show when I'm on, he wins.
I'm doubling down, dude. I'm throwing another 10 in, even though you're down right now. Dude, right away.
He's buying low. Joe, who you got for MVP?
I thought Colin, this was a very good episode, and I really appreciated Tony sharing about his interesting neighborhood, and I appreciated Koji's very hot libertarian take on how the internet should be regulated. But I think, Colin, I really appreciated some of the information you brought on Nintendo to support Nintendo's kind of incredible value proposition that it brings both as a stock and as a company and as a part of all of our lives. So I'm going to give my MVP vote to Colin.
Yeah, Andrew Guglielmonte, if you're out there, tell your mom to call me.
Well-known fan of the show, Andrew Guglielmonte. Colin actually called it before Joe arrived. He goes, every single time I finish second in the MVP voting to Joe. Sure enough, here we are once more. History.
You gotta up your game, man. You gotta.
I know.
Joe, congratulations on MVP. That's 60 seconds of FaceTime. Well done, brother.
All right. Well, I am going to talk about my upcoming Blocksonomics post that will drop tonight, probably around 4 or 5 a.m. Pacific time. And I am going to be talking about my recommendation that Roblox open up a $100 million creator fund and why I think that's what they need to do to move the platform's products forward. So look out for my Blocksonomics newsletter tomorrow, August 4th, 5th, 6th, August 6th, Thursday.
Hell yeah, dude. I can't wait to read that. That's going to be an absolute hitter. Also, Colin, plug real quick. You said you're debating the guy that was doing a Nintendo teardown. I'm curious to see that as well.
Oh yeah, I'm going to be on Player Driven, the live stream I do every week with Greg Postner. So he's bringing on this guy who wrote an analysis report on Nintendo, and I read it. And I was like, "Yeah, be fucking kidding me! Can we not have him on? Actually, can we bring him on? Because I'm really interested to understand how people like that value stocks when they don't know what the hell they're talking about. So I'm excited to learn."
That's awesome, man. Some amazing content to finish up the week. And hopefully we get this episode out before the Nintendo earnings report so anybody can take action on that if they care to. Love you guys. Amazing. Episode 171. Appreciate you all so much. We'll be back same time, same place next week. See you later.